Hi, I'm Roxanne, and this is my studio, the CrispyBrowsStudio. We do microblading and a lot of cosmetic tattooing here, and I don't know what else to say.
So how long have you been involved in permanent makeup? I mean, what's your background?
So I started doing cosmetic tattooing about 5 years ago. I became an esthetician about 12 years ago. I went to Paul Mitchell in Costa Mesa. There I learned that I really loved skincare. I particularly loved waxing the most and the shaping of eyebrows. I had told my teachers in school that one day I'm only going to do eyebrows, and they told me good luck with that. So it had always been my goal to own a business just based off of eyebrows, and now here I am. Naturally, because I was shaping brows and waxing, cosmetic tattooing kind of just fell into place. I had a lot of clients that couldn't grow their eyebrow hair, and we tried every serum. We tried just like not touching those areas. I tried teaching them how to use brow pencils, and sometimes that stuff just didn't work. So when I came across microblading, I was like, okay, we might be onto something, because tattooing the face is like, I don't really agree is a good idea because the pigment tends to bleed. I see a lot of face tattoos, and you do see a migration of pigment. So the microblading, because it's done by hand, I felt there was going to be a lot more control over what we were doing, and not only for like an artistic standpoint, but also depth of the pigment. So I really fell in love with it, and now I'm here.
So how long have you been doing microblading then?
Microblading I've been doing for about 5 years.
Okay. Can you sort of give us a brief background of how the procedure works?
So microblading is manual hair stroke tattooing. A microblade is actually a blade made out of micro needles. Some people do think that we use like a scalpel, but a scalpel is a little bit aggressive on the skin and would cut way too deep. So the needles allow for us to graze the skin and break it consistently with more control. After we implant the pigment into the skin, it is about 3 layers deep versus 7 layers deep, which is a normal tattoo. That allows for the pigment to fade over time, which allows us to adjust color if we need to, adjust shape if we need to. It also allows for removal to be done a lot easier.
How long does it take?
The actual procedure takes about 2.5 hours. We start by kind of consulting with the client, seeing exactly what they're looking for, kind of getting an idea of their personal style, how natural they want it, do they want it to look more like makeup, and analyze like color and their hair growth patterns. Then we do what we call face mapping, and that is measuring all of the brow bone area so that we can get the right symmetry within their brows. Some people have really asymmetrical brows, so we do our best to bring them to the same point, but sometimes we can't. So we do have to discuss that with our clients. The face mapping and drawing of the brow shape can take longer than the tattoo. It's probably the most important step in the process, because if the shape that you draw is not right, then the tattoo is not going to come out right. It's the same as a tattoo stencil. The stencil has to be exactly perfect for the tattooer to do a good job, because we are stretching the skin, so it's warping the picture. And then color is chosen usually between the artist and the client. Sometimes clients kind of look at the color and they're not really sure what they're looking at, so we do our best to explain that to them. But yeah, it's about 2.5 hours. It takes about 30 minutes to actually do the tattoo.
Okay. How many sessions?
2 sessions is usually recommended, because the first session we lay down the foundation, which is usually just one color. After that heals and we analyze that, we see if there's any areas that need to be retouched, anything that didn't stay perfectly, if anything is uneven, and then we analyze the color if we want to go in with a darker color to add dimensional hair strokes so it looks like it's standing off the skin. If we want to go with a lighter color, because the color we initially did was like a perfect dark color for the eyebrow.
How long does it last?
Microblading can last about I would say 1 to 3 years. It's a really big ballpark, but we don't really know how a client's skin is going to retain pigment until we try it. We do recommend doing annual touch-ups anywhere between 8 and 12 months, and that's to keep the eyebrows from completely fading away. The quicker we layer pigment on top of pigment, the longer you're going to get your brows. So it is important to do once a year, but we do 2 sessions initially.
Have you ever had to fix something that someone else made a mistake with, and how successful was that?
We definitely do a lot of cover-ups. Cover-ups we usually do require consultation. There are some things that we have to let the client know up front, and that's sometimes it's going to take at least 3 to 4 sessions to cover up the pigment that's already there. It depends on how light the pigment is that we're covering up. That also limits them on the color that they can use. Usually they have to go darker. Most of the time they have to go a little bit thicker as well. There are times where we don't really know what pigment was implanted. So the pigments we use may not be the same, so the chemical formula is different, which means there could be a reaction with the color. We have seen colors shift, which they'll turn odd colors, and then color theory really comes into play. Most of the time we can fix it, but there is always that risk that, you know, it could oxidize to a different color, and we don't know what that's going to be.
So it's a trial and error sort of?
Definitely trial and error with cover-up.
What products do you use?
Right now I'm using the Permablend cosmetic pigments and the Tina Davies, which is also by Permablend. I really love her colors. She's been doing this for a really long time, and she's actually the person I learned a lot of microblading color theory from. So when her line launched, I really trusted her product a lot, and I've had amazing results with it.
What about the actual microblade?
The microblade right now that I'm using, I use disposable aluminum handles, and then I use blades from a company called CrispyBrowsStudio. I love their needle product. I think that they're really good quality. They create what we call nano blades, which are a 0.18 millimeter. And they're just really sharp and effortless to use. So I'm very, very happy with those blades. They're probably the best blades I've found on the market. They're the most consistent. I found other companies where like you'd get a box and like half of them wouldn't be usable, or the packaging just didn't feel safe. A lot of microblades are manufactured in China, so the sterilization process isn't very good there, and that's a little bit worrisome with our industry. Because of the lack of, you know, sterilized needles in the US for us to use, I have teamed up with Tatsoul to create a line of microblades. Our blades are nano blades as well, which are similar to the ones that I use from CrispyBrowsStudio. The reason I wanted to kind of do this with them is so that we would have a product that we knew was sterilized properly, and they go through quite a thorough quality control process, which makes me very comfortable with the product. So I'm very, very excited. Thank you so much for watching. You can visit our website by visiting CrispyBrowsStudio.com. We're also on Instagram, and you can follow my Instagram as well, which is the Roxanne Crisp. And please stay tuned for our microblades.